BB851, turn right, heading 180. 14 Papa, turn right 245, report localizer established 27.
Another start to the working week and another Aviation News Weekly to get us underway. I hope you're all doing well and have enjoyed your weekend as best as you could. In today's video, I'll be taking a look at the battle for Norway and the domestic sector over there. KLM looking at the early retirement of aircraft, the 737 MAX and more. So I do hope you all enjoy these topics and stay tuned for them. We begin with Wizz Air, who announced that it is planning on completely shaking up the Norwegian domestic market with a launch of 3 new services. The low-cost unit has been rapidly expanding during this pandemic, unlike what a number of other airlines have been doing. They've essentially been consistently launching new services for customers, and they're now setting up their first base in Scandinavia, which brings the start of these services in Norway, all of them originating in Oslo. The 3 services from Oslo will be with the A321 and will rival Norwegian and SAS, one of which is on its very last legs. The flight with Wizz begin next month, however many have called this potentially the end for Norwegian, who have faced problem after problem that have continued and only been magnified with the current ongoing global pandemic. If you were unaware, recently their numbers dropped some 90% when it came to passengers carried. A drastic drop-off that, while is being seen across the board, is only worse for someone like Norwegian, who have had to deal with the Trent 1000 engine issues and of course the 737 MAX grounding on top of what is already going on. The Boeing 737 MAX's return date has been highly speculated for some time now, with months being thrown all over the shop. We've had FAA executives say one thing and then airline executives say the other. However, it all contributes to the aircraft's return itself. And with another Aviation News Weekly, it'd be wrong not to include an update to its return to service within the United States, according to a Ryanair executive. The FAA and Boeing have been working on certifying the jet now for many months, and that looks to be coming to a close. Thanks to an interview with Ireland's News Talk radio station, the chief executive said, "The FAA, Federal Aviation Administration, finished their test flights last week, and it looks like it's going to go back into service in the US in the next month or so, and we'll take our first deliveries as part of that order." The airline at this point has a couple hundred of the type on order and is also looking at a new sizable order in the hundreds for the type. They expect the first MAX to arrive into their fleet early next year, being 2021 for anyone watching down the line. Whether this is actually going to happen is a whole other thing, and I'd highly recommend taking dates nowadays with a grain of salt, given what we've seen in the past. However, it's still, I believe, worth mentioning to see what various other customers expect around the world. Over at KLM, who, as we know, recently retired their Boeing 747s, talk has surrounded the early retirement of the Airbus A330s, alongside the 747s due to, once again, the global pandemic. The airline was originally set to retire the Airbus A330 in 2025, so in some 5 years, although those plans could now be changing, as the airline is reported to be in talks with its lessors over the aircraft. The thing is, the airline doesn't have exactly an abundance of A330s at its disposal. It has 8 of the A330-200s and then just 5 of the A330-300s. But it does still make a part of its operations that now KLM needs to analyse whether or not are required to still be around with the gigantic drop-off in travel demand, and whether the other long-haul or wide-body aircraft, if you will, can still do the same job as their Airbus A330s moving forward, especially as demand slowly but surely returns back to normal for the Dutch carrier. In an interview which was seen by a Dutch news website, the KLM CEO spoke on the early retirement of the A330 in what was described as an internal video. He said the following: "You have to imagine that those leasing companies have about 100 airlines who knock on the door and say, 'Well, I have some aircraft to return to you.' That just doesn't happen. So we are talking about it. We are looking into it. But going forward, we'll be using the Airbuses a bit longer." This highlights the lengthy process to actually return these Airbus A330s to the lessors. KLM is already eyeing up a future of an all-Boeing wide-body fleet, and removing these A330s now, during a pandemic, could give them the most imperfect yet also perfect solution to attain that goal they want, but for now, even earlier than they first imagined. In some more news surrounding Airbus, they reported their order and delivery results for the month of September. a month that consisted of no new orders for aircraft but 3 cancellations. In more positive news, the aircraft manufacturer did deliver a sizable number of aircraft. That totaled 57 jets, which is massively up from previous months. For example, in April, Airbus only delivered 14 jets, while in August they delivered 39. Still though, the 57 from last month is down 14 from the 71 from September of 2019. Total yearly deliveries currently stand at 341 aircraft, with 282 of those being for the A320 family of aircraft. A very popular option and one that's quite easy to produce. Despite these 341 deliveries and an improved September, they are still down around 40% over their numbers for 2019, where at the same stage they had delivered 571 total aircraft to customers around the world. A sign of how the industry has been hit during this global pandemic, which is showing no signs of slowing down, especially in a sense of aviation. The final topic of today consists once again of Airbus, who have heavily been in the news. Airbus continued on to deliver a lone A320 to Middle East Airlines, or MEA, and this A320 has the serial number of 10,000, more commonly known as MSN 10,000. The chairman and director of MEA commented on taking delivery of the 10,000th one. We are honoured to receive the state-of-the-art A320neo with its distinctive serial number, 10,000 coinciding with the 75th anniversary of Middle East Airlines, and specifically after receiving MSN 5000 back in 2012. Since we first acquired an A320 family aircraft in 2003, we've not only benefited from the outstanding operational efficiency of the aircraft, but we were also the first airline to introduce the wide-body cabin product on a single-aisle aircraft, which has become a trend in the airline industry afterwards. To show the rapid progression in building aircraft within the aviation industry, MEA actually welcomed in MSN 5000 back in 2012, and this was some 23 years after production first began on the A320 family. The 5000 we saw just past now only took 8 years, and can show you perfectly how rapid the advancements in technology have been, and in addition the rapid demand changes that, while have disappeared, now came with the changing times and growth in the overall population, and therefore need for narrow-body jets, just like the A320 family. Do you have any thoughts on any of the topics that I mentioned throughout today's video, whether that be with the 737 MAX's ambitious return, as according to Ryanair chief executives, or maybe it's the KLM retiring their A330 or looking to return it to lessors as soon as possible, but understanding the difficulties that come with it. Maybe it's something to do with Airbus delivering aircraft. Do not hesitate to drop them in the comment section below, and I cannot wait to see you all in the next video. Stay safe and take care.